Let me tell you, it was a harrowing journey. I hated leaving, but we had no choice. We had just rented a house. It was nothing fancy, but it was nice enough for us. And then, like out of the blue, these three guys came to our house. I couldn't understand a word they were saying. They had pretty nice clothing. It wasn't terribly fancy. It wasn't purple clothing. They weren't kings, but I didn't know what they were saying. But they wanted to see the kid. Oh, okay, there he is. I kind of really got excited when they opened up their boxes. I'd never seen stuff like that. Gold. I'd never seen gold before. Frankincense and myrrh. I'd seen myrrh one time, but that was about it. Then they took off. After that, it got chaotic. Shortly after they left, we took off too. And we took off fast. We couldn't grab anything. We just kind of had to get up and go. Kind of just with the clothes on our back. Thank God Mary grabbed those gifts, especially that gold, because we had to buy some stuff along the way. People are sometimes nice, but it helps if you can, use some frankincense to buy some bread, use some gold to buy a blanket. So yeah, we traded all the gifts those three men gave us for food. Have you ever tried walking with a kid who's 2 years old? Ever tried walking with a kid who's 2 years old when someone's trying to kill you? I bet you none of you have. Saw a couple of you kind of smile a little bit when I talked about walking with a 2-year-old, but it's different when you're being chased. Well, eventually, at first it was just, Mary and I and the kid, and then eventually, there was more of us. There were other people running too. Word got out about Herod and what he was trying to do. We heard some of the stories. I felt bad that I left with Mary without telling nobody. I could have maybe told some people, but I was scared. We got a heads up. I don't know if you believe in angels, but I don't know, a vision or what, in a dream, I don't know what to call it, but I was told to go, and so we did. I thought about warning some people about what Herod was going to do, about what the angel said, but I didn't. Anyway, closer we got to Egypt, the more people there were, all of us running away from Herod. Anyone who had a kid, if they could go, they went. If they couldn't go, well, you know what happened. So we were trying to get to this place called Heliopolis. There were a bunch of Jews there. It was a pretty big-sized city. We think that I had some distant relatives there, but it'd been a long time, but I don't know, maybe like a second cousin. But we figured that was my best shot. If I could track down a cousin or something, I might be able to get some work. Along the way, on both sides of the border. There were good people. We did get water from a couple places. They let us draw water out of their well. And this one town, I remember this one town, we had run out of money. So we needed it. I guess you could call it a miracle if you want to. The townspeople came out on the edge of town, and they gave us barley bread. Would have preferred wheat bread, but, beggars can't be choosers. We ate that for a good couple of days. They wouldn't let us stay in the town because it wasn't big enough for all of the people who were in this big group of us walking. So they were nice, but they said, you got to go. So we kept going. Well, eventually Mary and I made it to Heliopolis, and yeah, we did track down some of my relatives. They didn't know me, but they did know my mom. Moved into a relative's house, a couple of weeks, 3 weeks. They were great, but there again, it was kind of like, you can't stay forever. You need to find a place, Joseph. So we did. We actually kind of found a squalid little place near the tannery. It was like half mile from the tannery. I know what you're thinking. Don't give me that. I don't need that. I don't need your judgment right now. I know being next to the tannery made us unclean as Jews. But did you forget the part where we had no money? Okay, so we're close to the tannery. So what? It was either the tannery or where all the prostitutes lived. But I'm going to tell you right now, Mary and I, we raised Jesus good. As good as we could. Our clothes weren't the best. The kid never had any shoes. We never starved, but we were never full. Yeah, I think we did pretty good. So eventually, we heard through the grapevine that Herod died. Don't forget, he was the reason we left. Because of violence. Because the government that Herod had was trying to kill us, specifically kill our kid. So we left. Well, thank God Herod died. One of his sons took over, Antipas. I couldn't pronounce his name. Antipas, Herod, the next Herod. He was slightly better. He was not as ruthless as his dad. And apparently he wasn't mad about the kids who'd been born at the same time my kid was. So we saved some money. Mary and I talked about it. We saved some money. I think Jesus was like 5 or 6. Something like that. So we saved some money and went back. Back home, my gosh, let me tell you. It'd been a long time since I'd been home, and I missed it. I never wanted to be in Egypt. Neither did Mary. That's not my home. I wanted to be home. So yeah, it was pretty good. We couldn't actually go back home, though. Don't forget that. Bethlehem is where Jesus was born. We couldn't go back to Bethlehem, too close to Jerusalem. A center of power, the king, Herod, yada, yada. So we headed to Nazareth. I know, it's kind of country. squalid, backwoods. Nothing good ever came out of Nazareth anyway, but we went there. Some things never change. Governments trying to kill people. Executing people. Yet, hits close to home for me. Seems like all I ever did was run from the government. I guess we'll just not worry about the future and just keep trusting in God. Guess we'll just see what happens. Guess we'll just see what happens.